Hi, this is Dr. Pike again, and we're going to be covering Chapter 13, Valuing Culture and Diversity, and this is from the text, Leading with Communication, by authors Gamble and Gamble. Diversity is good. If leaders of an organization are too much alike, they're likely to look at problems the same way. Too much of the same thinking can mean that not enough thinking is going on. However, if leaders do not have the skills to harness the strengths of diversity, the organization can get bogged down in conflicts. We live in an age of globalization. The increasing economic, political, and cultural integration and interdependence of diverse cultures are on the horizon. Glocalization, this is a description of how globalization merges with local interests and environments. Diversity is the result of both forces. Leaders must be multiculturalists, persons respectful and actively engaged with their counterparts, seeking supporters who are from distinctly different cultures, but who are linked in some physical or electronic means. There are two kinds of diversity. Identity diversity. This is where people come from different races, cultures, and religions. And then there is cognitive diversity. People who have different outlooks and training but come together to fulfill an organization's goals and purposes. The culture communication interface. When a leader interacts with persons whose behavioral norms and values are different from the leaders, those differences ought to be accepted in order to interact meaningfully. Factors that can interfere and complicate this interaction include ethnocentrism. And this is the tendency to see one's own culture as superior and more natural than all others. They lack in cultural flexibility, and this can make one experience anxiety when interacting with persons from different cultures. It is the failure to recognize the unique perspectives of persons from other culture. They're seen by these people as inferior. One becomes quick to blame the other culture for problems. Opposite to this is cultural relativism, and this is the acceptance of other cultural groups as equal in value to your own. Skilled leaders remain true to their own cultural values while supporting other cultures, as they understand that is promotion that will enrich their organization. Now, another thing is stereotypes. And these are the mental pictures or images that we carry around in all of our heads, the shortcuts that we use to guide our reactions and to generate unrealistic pictures of things. This prevents us from distinguishing differences, making it impossible to treat a person apart from a group. When we have prejudices, a positive or negative prejudgment usually based on faulty data. This can lead us to create in and out groups, which contributes to feeling more negatively to the out group, who becomes easy targets for our anger and ridicule. It applies to race, gender, age, and sexual preference. Understanding how cultures differ. A culture is a system of knowledge, beliefs, values, customs, behaviors, and artifacts that members acquire, share, and use during their own daily living. Researchers describe cultures using the following dialects. Examples of individualism versus collectivism. United States, France, Great Britain, and Germany are categorized as individualistic cultures. They give precedence to individual goals because of the value they place on individual initiative and achievement. The workers prefer individual awards and want self-development opportunities. Arab, African, Asian, and Latin countries are categorized as collectivistic cultures. They give preference to group goals because of the value they place on nurturing groups rather than developing a sense of self. The workers prefer team awards, and focus is on nurturing the group and not the individual. In the next dialect, high-text communication versus low-text context communication cultures are tradition-bound and value-thoughtful. They reserve reaction and appear overly polite and indirect. They believe that most messages can be understood if receivers are attuned to nonverbal, contextual information instead of words. They value silence as they believe that a person of few words is respected and trusted. Low-context communication cultures encourage members to communicate more directly. They plainly code their messages, even asking people they just meet for their personal information such as where they work, where they went to college, and where they live. They rely on verbal interaction for clarity. In the next dialect, high-power distance versus low-power distance. Power distance refers to measuring how willingly a culture's members accept power differences. In Saudi Arabia and India, these distances perceive power as a fact of life and tend to stress its coercive and reference nature. Inequality is the norm. Workers may be reluctant to participate in decision-making. In low-power distance cultures such as the United States, Israel, Sweden, they believe that power should only be used if legitimate. They promote equal rights, value expert, and legitimate power, while emphasizing interdependence of leaders and followers. And they can disagree with one another when it's necessary. Those in power may appear less powerful than they really are. Workers may be offended if a leader fails to ask for their input when decision making. In the next dialect, monochronic versus polychronic. Monochronic countries carefully schedule their time and events. Most of Europe and North America are monochronic. Polychronic countries conduct activities at a slower rhythm and without a sense of urgency. They readily give in to distractions and interruptions. Kenya and Argentina are examples of polychronic countries. In the next dialect, masculine versus feminine, masculine cultures such as Japan, Italy, Germany, and Great Britain socialize members to be dominant, competitive, and to confront conflict head-on. These are aim-to-win countries. Females are less likely to emerge as leaders in these places. They place more emphasis on aggressiveness, strength, and symbols of material success. In feminine cultures such as Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands, Thailand, and Chile, members are socialized to compromise and negotiate, and to see win-win solutions. More effort is made to collaborate, communicate interpersonally, and achieve consensus. High value is placed on the quality of life and life-work balances. The Globe Studies. Robert House, through the Global Leadership and Organizational Behavior Effectiveness Research Initiative in 2004, surveyed and interviewed more than 17,000 leaders over 950 organizations worldwide. Their work identified 9 cultural dimensions. Uncertainty avoidance, the extent to which organizations, members, or society relies on established ways of doing things to avoid uncertainty. Power distance, the degree to which members of an organization or society expect and support the centralization of power at higher levels of an organization or government. Individual collectivism, the extent to which organizations or societies encourage and reward collective action and resource distribution. In-group collectivism, the extent to which individuals express pride, loyalty, and cohesiveness in their organizations. Gender egalitarianism, the extent to which gender role differences are minimized and gender equality realized. Assertiveness, the extent to which individuals act assertively or aggressively in another's presence. Future orientation, the extent to which individuals spend time engaged in future-oriented activities, such as planning, while delaying personal or collective gratification. Performance orientation, the extent to which a member of a group seeks improvement and excellence, and they are encouraged and rewarded. Human orientation, the extent to which individuals are encouraged and rewarded for being caring, kind, and fair to others. Sorry, changing slides. The cultural difference effect. It is important to recognize that differences matter. Unless we rethink some of the stereotypes we hold, they can interfere with the ability to do business. It is important to recognize the meaning our culture gives to certain behaviors is not universal. Not one answer is applicable across the board. The Globe studies identified 6 global leadership categories and situated them in the following clusters. Charismatic value-based leadership emphasizes the leader's ability to inspire. Team-oriented leadership emphasizes collaboration and team building. Participative leadership is non-authoritative, and it emphasizes the importance of involving others in decision-making and execution. Humane-oriented leadership emphasizes the priority given to compassion, sensitivity, and supportiveness. Autonomous leadership is emphasizing the preference for independent leadership. Self-protective leadership emphasizes the desire to keep the leader and group safe, and this ensures their community. Women, men, and leadership. To develop more awareness regarding your attitude towards gender, ask yourself, what qualities do you admire in leaders? Who do you believe possesses more of the qualities on your list, men or women? What negative qualities do you associate with male leaders? What negative qualities do you associate with female leaders? In your opinion, are male and female leaders equally effective and equally valued? Now, I can tell you, after a career that I've had in public service, I've been in public service for 24, almost 25 years, and I've been led by both male and female leaders, exceptional leaders, where gender made little to no difference. I've seen great changes over the last almost 25 years in public service in that it's becoming a more even playing field, whereas once upon a time, very long ago, female leaders were an anomaly within public service. And now it's becoming more commonplace, and there are significant assets to female leaders as well as male leaders, depending upon who you're dealing with, what culture you're encountering. Women have made inroads in what is traditionally a male domain. However, men still outnumber women in these roles and are paid more. Women earn roughly 77 cents for every dollar a man earns in the same position. Followers expect leaders to have agentic characteristics, and these are agents of change. Action-oriented, decisive, and direct. When it comes to women leaders, however, far too many stereotypes and sexism still persist, and women must still jump hurdles that men rarely face. Gendered expectations, they give rise to biased perceptions. We can apply our system one thinking, or our stereotypes, or our own personal biases to come into play to represent anyone, whether they be male or female. He's too harsh or she's too soft, or he's too soft and she's too hard. Leaders benefit when they merge the best of both male and female qualities into their style. Capitalizing on diversity. Diversity's benefits include equal access and opportunity. It enables organizations to recruit the best personnel, and it extends the organization's reach and depth of understanding due to having people within the organization that understands that there is diverse needs. Groupthink is less likely to happen in a heterogeneous group. If you have this diversity, then people aren't all thinking the same way. They're not all acting the same way or conducting themselves similarly. And you may have that dissenting opinion that can see an issue prior to its arising. There are obstacles to diversity. There's ethnocentrism, prejudices, stereotypes, and these impede others from accepting diversity. People who hold strong stereotypes are prone to fundamental attribution error, and this is when a member of a stigmatized or outgroup causes a problem or fails. Those who are biased are likely to blame it on the personal defect or deficiency. However, when they or a member of their in-group experience a problem or fail, they tend to attribute it to external or situational factors, not inherent internal weakness. In surmounting these obstacles, we have to know that we have to engage with one another. We, as different cultures, need to interact with one another to get rid of whatever stereotype or bias that we may employ. We have to appreciate the diversity, and it needs to permeate every level of an organization. Once one believes that we all eat to survive, we all breathe to survive, and we all bleed, it's difficult to exclude that person as being that different from what we are. Leaders must communicate the value, vision, and how it's achieved, how the mission is achieved, and know that those internal parts of an organization, a diverse organization, can only benefit attaining a mission goal. Effective companies balance the drive for individualism and personal achievement with the drive for inclusion and group affiliation. And that is the end of chapter 13. I want to say thank you for staying with me through this lecture, and all the best and prayers for a successful final examination. Thank you for sticking with me, and have a great week.